Spirits of French Lick is proud to introduce the Lee Sinclair 4-grain bottled and bond bourbon. This 4-year aged double pot distilled non-chill filtered bourbon has creamy, round, and lifting notes with caramel and vanilla, followed by apple, mint, graham cracker, and ginger, as well as cardamom. The finish is slightly French walnut, resolving the sweet, fruity, almost ground cherry and white pepper. Our spirits are available for tasting and purchase inside the French Lick Winery and Distillery. Spirits of French Lick. Respect the grain. Please enjoy responsibly.
I've got Michael Jackson's Whiskey, the Definitive World Guide, and Jim Murray's Whiskey Bible, all on the Jim Beam Black. I have information on Mila Kunis and how she came to represent Jim Beam Black in commercials. She was responsible for a 24% bump in sales once she came on board for Jim Beam. You can't directly attribute it, but you can. I think she's one of her commercials that she did for Jim Beam Black pretty much motivated a lot of people to drink bourbon, 100%. But one of the cool things about the story I'm going to tell is that she went to a Jim Beam experience with Austin Kutcher, loved it so much, then Fred met with Fred No in the man cave.
Kutcher, yeah.
Ashton.
I knew what you said. Yeah, I thought it sounded like you said Austin Kutcher.
Ashton.
It's Ashton. Yes.
It's A-U-S.
S-H.
It's
A-S-H. Like ash, like
yeah, it's
Ashton.
ashes in
I thought it was A-U.
No, like
There you go,
cigarette
Ashton.
ashes.
Ashton. Not Ashton?
Yeah, Ashton.
I'm just pronouncing it the way the Germans pronounce it. That's all. Ashton. But that's the way he pronounces it probably. So I'll go with Ashton. Ashton. Right?
Yep.
There you go. Anyways, he
What?
went. So anyways, she got to meet with Fred in the man cave. Kind of like what happened with us with the signing, and then when we went back to meet Sandy No in the man cave. So it's like, and then I'm gonna grab this and show people we were in the man cave,
No, we're not.
and we're really happy about Jim Beam. All right, I think we're ready to go. Mine's off too. That was good. We're still a minute. We'll know right away. See, right now it says share it to your timeline public. Before it went share with only me, and it locked when I went to when it said you can't, whatever people. So now let's see what happens when we go live. It's 54. Well, we can.
Just go live. Go for it.
All right, we're gonna go live, and hopefully it doesn't instantly turn us to. Okay, we are live. We have
a circle.
It should be live. What is going on up here?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, we're live. It looks like it. Yes.
Hey, we're live. It's alive.
This is the pre 5 minutes before the actual Jim Beam Whiskey Live tasting of Jim Beam Black tonight. That's what we are tasting. But I would like to share this. So right at this point, I have to go to turn that down. I'll turn mine down to groups. Oh no, I gotta go to myself.
If you pass it over, I can do it.
All right. There it is. Yeah, share it to all the groups, and you can share it to the Jim Beam enthusiasts tonight because we are going to be tasting. Yeah.
Okay, I did something.
What did you do?
I don't know. I touched something and it didn't.
For sharing?
Yeah, what am I supposed to touch?
Oh my gosh. Really?
Just swipe that off.
There you go. Now share it, please. All right. Yes, so we are live. We are trying to share. 9 o'clock we'll
We're
go live. We're
almost
still
live.
4 minutes. Yes, we see that we actually have people here tonight, and once we share it to the groups, tasting of the Jim Beam Black. We are excited, have a lot of information. We have the Jim Beam Whiskey Bible, the Michael Jackson's Whiskey, the Definitive World Guide,
Jim
and then
Murray's Whiskey Bible.
Jim Murray's Whiskey Bible, and then Michael Jackson's Whiskey, the Definitive World Guide. That was the first. Then what we have here is we have Breaking Bourbon and their critique of Jim Beam Black.
I actually remember my reading.
Oh yeah, wonderful. So in a couple minutes, we still have 3 minutes. We are saving to all the whiskey groups at the moment. In a couple minutes, we will be going live for the tasting. We're excited to have everybody here. I can't wait. Once once we go live, it's exciting. Jim Beam Black is a really nice brand for the Beam, line. They basically use that line to really kind of get going, promoting everything as far as their line with Mila Kunis. And once they were allowed to advertise back onto television and what those ads did and how Mila Kunis was able to support the actual brand and how it really bumped sales for Beam Suntory or Jim Beam. We got the story there, folks. But we will also be rating it. We are the Scotchy Bourbon Boy group. Tonight we have myself, Tiny, we have Roxy, and we have Xavier.
Yes, I'm Xavier. This is Roxy, just in case we're confused.
Then we have
and back.
Mrs. Xavier. We still have to come up with her own name. She goes by Mrs. Xavier. But we are a 4-panel group. We will be doing the tasting tonight and giving each category of 4 categories: nose, taste, body, and finish. We'll be giving those categories a top score of up to 25, 0 to 25. Then each person will rate it and come up with their score out of 100, and then we will add those 4 scores together, and we will then come up with the Scotchy Bourbon Boy Whiskey Live rating for Jim Beam Black. Did it accept all the shares? It
I hope
did.
so.
Yeah, well, each one said posting, correct? So when you're posted, as long as it doesn't say not posted, not posted, not posted, so we should be good. So we are coming up right. Hey, there he is, Young Nose Johnson. Our other Scotchy Bourbon Boy is on the comments. Good to see you tonight, Mr. Reynard. So with that said, I believe it is 9 o'clock and we can get going. Each of us tonight, welcome. This is Whiskey Live tasting of Jim Beam Black. It's current. This is the current expression. Was purchased off the shelf this last Wednesday. This is a IWSC, which is an International Wine and Spirits trophy winner. It's rated the world's highest rated bourbon by the IWSC. Jim Beam Black is 86 proof. It's comes from the Jim Beam Distillery, the company Beam Suntory, and the release is ongoing. It doesn't have an age statement, but it is said to be in the 6-year range. One of the cool things that I did when I was down in 2019, I did a distillery tour, a special tour and lunch, and one of the things we got to do, and I got to do, is I was able to use the bung hammer and hit the barrel and pop the bung out on a 6-year barrel that was dedicated to become Jim Beam Black. They took a thief, poured into our glasses, and we drank it straight barrel strength out of the barrel. It was a really cool experience for that as far as the Jim Beam Black. We all now have it in our glasses. Tonight we are drinking from Scotchy Bourbon Boy Glencairns. These are the official Glencairns of our group. They are available a number of different ways. One, you can sponsor us on Patreon. If you go to Patreon and you search the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, there's a bunch of different ways, but there is a way that if you sponsor us monthly, you can get your own Scotchy Bourbon Glencairn. The other way is to purchase it right off of our website. We are www.scotchybourbonboys.com. Come check out the store. We've got shirts and we've got Glencairns. Also, we have bourbon balls. So,
Thank you, Martin Duffy, the North American Glencairn glass representative.
yes, he is the one who we worked through so that we ordered these straight out of England and they were shipped to us, but Martin Duffy is the one that turned us on to that, and he also is a Scotchy Bourbon Boy, which we're glad to have. Our group is very diverse. There's a bunch of people. I'd like to say hi to Martin Nash, Super Nash. I don't know if he's here tonight. I know he's in Daytona. He's going to check in. But he is responsible for a lot of the bourbons that we taste, but not the
Hello,
one.
Martin. Martin Nash, that is.
Now, the other cool aspect is about this is that we have a nice tie into the Jim Beam family, the Knows. Sandy and Fred know. We were hosted when we went down there this past September, and we were able to do a podcast from the man cave. Now, on their property, they have a restored garage there, and that they turned into a man cave. It's a pretty cool place. We were able to do a podcast and hang out with Sandy No. So I'd like to do a shout out to Sandy for being such
Sandy.
a great, what would you say, family member and Scotchy Bourbon Boy. It's great to have her here, and also be able to do. Did you spill it on yourself?
I did not.
Okay, right.
Good
So
save.
that's a really cool aspect of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. When we were down there, here's a picture of us actually. That's Young Nose, myself, and Super Nash in the man cave. So we've got that. One of the cool aspects of Jim Beam Black is this particular line was promoted by Mila Kunis in I believe between 2016 and 2019. She was the spokeswoman for the Jim Beam Black. She did a bunch of commercials. Another aspect is, from what I read, is that when she started and came on, the bump was about a 23% bump in sales once those ads started running. And I have to admit, the ads were pretty spectacular, wouldn't you say? It was a cool aspect of whiskey, and
They were unique ads.
and it was very unique because for a long time, ads for whiskey was not allowed. And now they're running Jim Beam ads still, and I really think they're cool. But what she did to romance you into drinking whiskey was a really cool thing. That was something that was very right. So anyways, what we're looking at is we've got a couple different places. I've got the Michael Jackson's Whiskey, the definitive guide, the definitive world guide, and I just had a little thing about it. The principal Jim Beam version is 4 years old and 80 proof, 40 ABV. It is innocuous dram, soft, medium bodied with understated sweetness, vanilla, and spice. Jim Beam Black, aged for around 8 years and is at 86 proof, is different and distinctive. It's complex, overflowing with oak, vanilla, fruit, and is a long and balanced dram. So I've got a bunch of tasting notes on that, but while we taste, we can go along with that. Now, Jim Murray's Whiskey Bible, which is a pretty cool thing. Let's see, here it is. He rated it a 93, and he says, rather than the big, noisy, thrill-seeking Jim Beam Black, here it is in quiet, reflective, sophisticated mode. Quite a shift, but no less enjoyable. 86 proof. So he actually gave it a pretty good, good rating. So with that said, let's take in this particular. We're going to nose this. I've got the Breaking Bourbon nose, and I've got the nose from the Michael Jackson's Definitive World Whiskey Guide. So let's give this a nose. Once again, our rating scale is nose, taste, body, and finish. And of those four, we rate them from a 0 to 25. All of us give it a rating, all four of us here. Once again, I'm Tiny, Xavier, Roxy, and Mrs. Xavier back on the bar. Then once we're finished, we come up with a overall score that we give this particular bourbon. So the Jim Beam Black, what I like in the Glencairn, one of the nice things if you're new to this, there's a bunch of, you look at the color, and it's a dark amber color, very nice. And then in the glass, when you give it a swirl, it's always good to give it a swirl to see what's happening. It clings to the glass, it's there, but the legs, we're waiting, as the legs form, they're a little bit, it's a little thin, but that's something more for some of the, well, actually they're there. Look at that one's pretty long. So the legs are long, so it's a nice, there's a little bit of good body on this. Now, and when you're using a Glencairn, one of the nice things about nosing a Glencairn is it basically, the whiskey sits in a wider range, and then as the aromas come up, they hit the side and then travel up the sides, so that when you nose it along the edge, you're getting, you're able to really smell and get the fragrances and all the different tannins and the wood, and you really can smell the different features coming off the whiskey. But if you go more into the middle and up towards the other end, you'll actually smell different flavors. So a lot of the different flavors that you smell, especially this particular whiskey, it's aged longer, so it's 6 years. So you're going to get a little bit more of the oak aspect of the barrel, but also it's not too long, so it's not like a 15 or one of the really aged whiskeys where the oaks and the tannins of the barrel become very important, that they're not bitter, or the particular barrel is very important. But in this particular case, I get corn, I get a little bit of apricot, kind of a fruit, citrus. Now what I did with this is, before we did this, a lot of times when we do these, I open it up as we start, but I decided not to do that, and I don't think I'm going to do it in the future. I opened it up about an hour before to let the ethanol aspect come off the bottle. So this has been aerated for about an hour before we actually poured it in the glass, and then been in the glass for at least 10-15 minutes. So that's kind of another cool thing. Now, the nose from Breaking Bourbon is a pleasant display of vanilla custard, candied apple, a light oak. It has a nice intensity for an 86 proof bourbon, and it's likable overall. I get a little bit of the vanilla, not custard. And if you want to say candied apple, that might have been what I was getting for the apricot. That kind of. But I do get the vanilla, definitely. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definite corn or caramel, vanilla, and I'll go with the candy apple. I would have never thought of that on my own, but that does sort of describe what I'm smelling. It has a very pleasant note.
All right, so let's go to the taste. Wow, that's nice.
Very nice.
I get a little bit of the apple on the front. Then it goes to vanilla, almost. Then it goes to vanilla. Then a little bit of oak, but it's a sweet oak with a really nice hug.
I'm getting more caramel, vanilla, maybe a little bit of that candy apple, and then it goes to not really getting the oak. I am getting more of like a cinnamon pepper on the body, and also I agree, a very nice hug.
I get a little oak, but I do see what you're saying about the cinnamon on my tongue right now in the finish aspect of it. All right.
This is tiny.
Some oak, caramel, definitely the cinnamon spice.
Mrs. Xavier.
I taste the vanilla, the oak, the cinnamon, and the pepper.
I'm really getting a really nice upfront, almost like it's like a candied apple would be cinnamon with apple, right? One of those candy apple. When you're talking about candied apple, it's always apple with like a cinnamon kind of thing. So I guess that's kind of what I get, the candy apple right up. Maybe I get a combined apple in the front. I get the little bit of caramel, but I'm getting that sour, really good. This is a. I've had this before, but I don't know if I've like spent so much time tasting it. But this is a very tasty
It's
bourbon.
very tasty,
And
and it's surprisingly complex. It's really
Now
a good taste.
the nose was rich fruitcake, allspice, vanilla, and a trace of menthol and licorice for the Michael Jackson uh, critique. Now, he goes body full, rich, and chewy, and the palate is more fruitcake, ginger drizzle, raisin, berry fruits, woody tannins, spice, and rye. I'm not really getting that much. That's where it's going. But now, the palate, as soon as the bourbon hits my tongue, it's immediately noticeable how thin this is. Now, I'm not getting thinness on this. Are you?
Yes,
You get this as thin?
yes.
Okay. And the flavor seems to mimic this. Oak dominates the palate, letting in fleeting hints of vanilla and caramel. A very straightforward display of flavors that is in no way bad, just a bit boring. Now they're going off of a bit boring. But I mean, we're talking about, this is a straight up middle road. I mean, this is an affordable bourbon right off. There's nothing special as the price would say. You're talking $19.99 for the bottle, which is a really good price for this
That's
bourbon.
a very good buy for this bourbon.
So now the finish is pretty spectacular. So I would have to say there's a nice hug. This has cinnamon that stays for a long time, and it's sweet. And what I'm looking for in a finish, I like a little. I don't mind a little bit of oak like this has, but I like that cinnamon. I like that sweetness. And when I want a bourbon with a finish, this is what I want something really pleasant left in my mouth if it's going to be a long finish. I've had some really long finishes, scotches or bourbons, which on high end pricing, but it's bitter the finish is bitter. So I would say, based off this is probably the strong point in my opinion, of this particular bourbon is the finish. How about you?
I think it has a really good finish. It's not a super strong finish, but it's definitely there, and it is long lasting. And it is towards the sweeter side. Which
Yeah.
both you and I look for that in the finish. So yeah, good finish.
So for me, the cinnamon peppery burn is too lengthy.
Okay.
I don't like that
That's
sort of
exactly
high
right.
rye finish flavor that Karen loves so much
Uh-huh.
back there. She loves it.
Yeah, I don't.
And I
taste-
prefer it
don't
to be
taste
a
very
more
much
smooth
sweetness.
finish.
I taste the pepper.
Finish is not smooth.
Okay.
It's kick you in the teeth all the way.
Really?
Karen?
Oh, I love it. I love that pepper.
You nailed it.
I knew she would.
All right.
I really don't get. I don't really taste that much sweetness.
No,
Um,
I don't get
to
any
me,
more
it's,
sweet.
I taste the pepper and the oak and the vanilla.
See, I must have my oak filter in place because I really don't taste oak.
That's very.
Maybe it's very subtle if it's there.
Now this time I'm getting this last. I got a lot of vanilla, leading to the cinnamon and the spice, which then led to a nice hug. And now I've got the really nice cinnamon flavor on my tongue with a little bit of sweetness. That's what I'm getting. All right. So with that said, I'm gonna once again the finish on Breaking Bourbon. Oak, smoky char, a lingering vanilla, all pepper, and a medium length finish. These flavors do a decent job of sticking around despite the bourbon's thin consistency. Again, there are not many nuances to the flavor, and they come across very matter of fact. With Michael Jackson's definitive World Whiskey Guide, he thinks the finish is perfectly balanced, long, and lingering. So it's kind of like exactly the two. It comes down to your palate. One thing, we aren't our palates. Each one of us. That's why we have 4 of us here at the moment. Our palates are our palates and what we like. So you can see that in this particular bourbon, we are all tasting something different. Now, as your palate evolves, it's always changing. Some bourbons, when you start out, could have a certain flavor that you like, and then as your palate evolves, it could turn out eventually that it's the flavor that you don't like. Who knows? But whiskey is a personal experience, and everybody has to judge their own personal experiences and not judge other people because they have those personal experiences. So, with that said, I think these 2 reviews are almost exactly what we were talking about. The women were going more towards the Breaking Bourbon review, where they were noticing the pepper and that type of thing, whereas this particular Michael Jackson's is going more towards perfectly balanced, long and lingering, which more Xavier and myself have. So, with that said, let's get to the rating system. One of the things, I don't know, did we cover the? Yeah, we covered the Mila Kunis part of it. So
Yeah,
Yes,
you
we
did.
did.
yeah, we did that. So we are ready to rate. So, who wants to go first on the nose?
I'll go first. The nose. I give the nose a surprisingly high rating. I give the nose a 25. And when we talk about taste, and those of you who watched this blog before, you'll know where I'm going with this. But I'm going to give the nose a 25.
I give the nose a 23.
Mrs. Xavier?
I give it a 22.
I am going to give the nose on this particular bourbon a 20. I like it. It's definitely above average, but there's certain aspects of bourbon that I like, and this isn't the perfect 25 for me. So I give it a 20. All right, so let's go to taste.
The taste, I think it's one of the better, if not best tasting bourbons I've ever tasted. And I'm going to give it a 25. And what gets the bonus points for me is the taste is exactly what you expect from the nose. It's a 100% uniform nose to taste. And to me, in my 6 months of bourbon rating, I consider that a point of quality. I think that's excellent. What you taste, what you smell is what you get.
And I'm not a big fan of the taste of this bourbon, so I will give it a 20.
You
Too
give it,
thin, too spicy, not complex enough.
okay. 23, 20, 25, 25, 20. And Mrs. Xavier?
I'd give the taste a 24.
Okay.
Not quite spicy enough for me.
Throw red hot in it.
That
Pour
would
some
be-
hot tamales.
I enjoy the taste of this. There's no doubt. I would like more of what is in the taste because this is like there's the cinnamon. I usually like a little bit more caramel, but this has some good vanilla. I like the upfront aspect. Then there's a little bit of oak, but I like the thing. So taste. Once again, I think I give this a 21. All right. So that takes us next to the body.
The body, like both of the ladies said, you get a tapering off of the apricot or candy apple taste, and you get diminishing of the vanilla, and you get an increased intensity on the cinnamony pepper. It's quite good, but it kind of falls off a little bit, and I'm going to contradict what I said a couple comments ago, and that is I said that I thought my oak filter was on. I wasn't tasting any oak. On the last couple tastes I've had, I'm kind of getting a little bit of that. I don't know if that's because it's Tiny has worn me down with his comments, or there's some subliminal at work, but I got kind of that char oak taste to it. But it's a good body. It's a pleasurable body. So I'm going to give the body a 23.
Body is decent, so I'll give it a 21.
Mrs. Xavier.
Yeah, the body is good. I would say that 23.
All right. So when my version of a body is how much the taste fills your mouth. And this pretty much is over a 20. There's no doubt about it, because for an 86 proof, the sweetness is the part that goes through. So on this particular body, I'm going to give it a 22. Now we go to the finish.
Finish. The finish is a continuation of the body. It is a good to very good finish. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it's definitely good to very good. For an 86 proof whiskey that costs $20 a bottle, give or take, it's an outstanding finish. Like the body, I give the finish a 23.
And although I'm not a big fan of the taste of the finish is extremely long. And so that is the mark of giving some decent points, because it's a very, very long finish. So I will give the finish a 23 also.
Wonderful. So
Mrs. Xavier.
And I will also give it a 23. It has a good finish for, as what you said, for the 86 proof whiskey. I prefer a little bit longer and more of a hug, but it has a decent hug. Not one that it's not too overpowering.
It's a good hug.
It's
for
a
86
it's a
proof.
good hug.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good for the proof.
Not a
It's
great
got
hug, but it's very good.
Yeah, for the,
Very enjoyable.
what did she give that?
23.
23 too, we're all 23, 23, 23.
Well, again,
Yeah.
this is, like I said, the strong point of this, and so so I've given it a 20, a 21, and a 22. I would say this finish The only thing it lacks is it's a medium to longer finish, but it's not a long finish. So the 25 would be that this taste that is finishing off and everything. So I'm going to give it a 24.
Ooh.
I like this finish, and but for the price of this particular bourbon, this is a deal. I would say this is a deal. So let's do our addition. I give it an 87. 21, 20, a 21, a 22, and a 24 equals 87.
Bill?
Well, let's see. I gave it 25 and 25 and 23 and 23, so I believe that's 96.
I also gave it an 87.
Okay, this is Xavier.
I give it a 92.
Divide that by 4. No, it didn't.
87, 87, 87.
We got a calculator this time, folks.
90,
Normally we don't have a
Bill,
calculator.
6.
96 and 92. Right.
Martin Nash was here.
Okay, 264. This is divided by 4 equals. See, what is going on with my calculator that's having a
It seems to be having
seizure?
issues. What's the
It's having
total
a
you came to?
seizure. 364.
Divided by 4.
362.
Oh, 362?
Yes.
362.
Oh my God.
90.5.
That's how it works. 90.
There we go. 90.5, folks. So, once again, Jim Beam Black, we gave you an in-depth little study on it, and we're happy to taste it with you. We're glad that you tasted along with us, and we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks with the next Whiskey Live. Look for on my Facebook and also the groups what we will be tasting next. But with that said, make sure you follow the Scotchy Bourbon Boys on your favorite media. We are there: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Parler, Patreon, YouTube, everything. We're there. So have a good night, folks. The Scotchy Bourbon Boys toast you. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
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 John was chiming in with his ratings too, but
I couldn't get in on that. You didn't get Facebook fucked this time.
We didn't have anybody participating either other than John and Mark.
Let's see what.
And the very first part of that, when you were saying whatever word it was, that made me think of you. So I had, I said, well, I'm sure you can edit that out.
it's a Facebook Live. It doesn't get edited out.
No.
No, that was before.
Oh,
That was before the.
Oh.
That was before the.
But I'll edit it
It's
out.
for the YouTube.
I'll edit it out of the YouTube
What?
in the front, but you just explained it, and I'm not editing
Yeah,
that out.
that.